And tonight, while President Biden lounges on the beach in Kiowa in South Carolina, we're now tracking multiple breaking stories tonight, including new developments from the shooting death potentially caused by Alec Baldwin. We have more hypocrisy on climate change, this time with private jet Hollywood hypocrite Leonardo DiCaprio. Wait till you hear what he did. And a shocking report from Minnesota where one teachers union would decide to lay people off based on their race, regardless of their seniority. We'll tell you that story, and later we'll show you how one brave Good Samaritan took matters into his own hands by chasing down a violent robbery suspect. But first, tonight, tensions remain very high, only 1 week after the FBI's raid on the 45th president's home, Mar-a-Lago. Now, this unprecedented search and seizure has further eroded, sadly, many Americans' trust in the FBI and the DOJ, and is now causing the outrage all across the country. Make no mistake, the FBI has earned their shattered reputation, and tonight we're going to break down very specifically why conservatives and Trump supporters and many Republicans no longer trust what should have been and should be and can be and once was the premier law enforcement agency in the entire world. Let me be clear, and this is very important. Criticizing and questioning the atrocious behavior of the upper echelon of the FBI is not in any way, shape, manner, or form a call to violence. Just today, Fox News is learning that former President Trump directed his team to reach out to the Department of Justice. The message: Donald Trump will do whatever he can to help our country because, quote, the temperature has to be brought down. Now, President Trump is right. On this program, we totally condemn all threats against the FBI and every other member of law enforcement. If you watch this show, we are consistent. No doubt there are cops that are bad apples. We saw that in the George Floyd case. They commit crimes, they abuse their power, and target their political enemies. Those people must all be held accountable in a court of law, and that would also apply to bad apples in the FBI. Now, sadly, that almost never happens if Donald Trump or a Trump supporter is the target of the abuse. For example, take a look at former FBI official Peter Strzok. Think deeply about this. Go back to August 8th, 2016. Strzok's girlfriend, top FBI lawyer Lisa Page, absolutely terrified at the prospect of a Trump presidency. She texts Peter Strzok, her lover, her colleague, quote, "Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right?" Strzok responds, "He's not. We'll stop it." He said that he said all of that as a top FBI official, one that worked directly for the top leadership in the FBI. Then a week later, Strzok texted, quote, "I want to believe that the path that you threw out for consideration in Andy, assumably Andrew McCabe's office, that there's no way he gets elected. But I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before 40. So a top FBI agent with an insurance policy will stop it to thwart the will of the American people and ensure that one candidate can never win a free and fair election in America." By the way, where's that January 6th committee looking into this issue? Now, of course, the insurance policy was none other than the Russia collusion hoax. Peter Strzok became the lead investigator into this bogus conspiracy theory. His bias was clear. It was obvious. His mission was political. And yet, Strzok, he never, ever faced legal consequences. It's why I often say we don't have equal justice or equal application of our laws in America any longer. That is a sad thing to say, but sadly, it's true. Strzok ends up with a book deal. His anti-Trump FBI girlfriend got hired by MSDNC. Strzok himself has received numerous invitations to appear all over cable news, including this morning. He was on with Liberal Morning Joe, our old friend. Take a look.
It's not that the FBI is targeting any one side or the other. What you see is the FBI going out on a day-in, day-out basis, objectively investigating allegations of law.
The guy that said, "We'll stop it. We'll stop it. The FBI will stop it. And if your plan doesn't work, we've got an insurance policy. No way he's going to win." The lack of self-awareness there, it should seem shocking to everybody. But keep in mind, neither Strzok nor his superiors at the FBI, none of them have ever been held accountable. For example, Peter Strzok's boss, Andrew McCabe, also was very open about his hatred for Donald Trump. McCabe, along with Jim Comey, we know he hates Trump, and Yates, Sally Yates, Rod Rosenstein, they all signed off on either the FISA warrant or the 3 subsequent renewal warrants. In doing so, all of them lied on an application that at the top of the application says verified, that they verified the information. We now know none of it was true. All of the information that they used was unverifiable because it's all been debunked. They committed fraud against a court of law, no equal justice or application of our laws. Nobody was held accountable. The evidence they used was neither true nor was it verified or verifiable. The bulk of the supporting material in each of those FISA applications was that woman, Hillary Rodham Clinton's dirty Russian misinformation dossier that she paid for. They were warned that the dossier was filled with salacious campaign op research, including Russian disinformation, and it was not to be trusted. They were warned by even Bruce Orr in August of 2016, don't use it. And yet they used it anyway. And they swore in a court of law that it was verified because, as McCabe once admitted, they didn't have that dossier. They weren't going to get that FISA application approved, and they were desperate to spy on the Trump campaign at that particular time, and the Trump transition team, and later the Trump White House. No one was ever charged with lying to the FISA court, even after they all admitted, oh, you know, well, I guess if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. And if I knew now what I should have known then, take a look.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application in June of 2017 against Carter Page?
No, sir.
Okay. If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application?
No, I would not.
Well, I believe you didn't know that what you signed was wrong. The question is, if you had known, you wouldn't have signed it. Is that correct?
No, if I had known that it contained incorrect information, I certainly wouldn't have signed.
Knowing then what you know now about all the things that we've come to find, would you have still signed the warrant application against Carter Page in October, January, and April?
No, I would want a much more complete understanding of what we were.
Thank you very much.
So they're all admitting that they signed a document that has verified. The word verified at the top was not verifiable. Not one person held accountable for what is corruption and an egregious abuse of power, especially not the patron saint of the FBI, Jim Comey himself. After getting fired by the former president, Comey, of course, leaked privileged material to the New York Times through a friend in order to smear Donald Trump. Of course, Comey's home was never raided by the FBI. By the way, neither was Hillary Clinton's house in Chappaqua, and she grossly mishandled classified information, then attempted to cover her tracks. She deleted 33,000 emails. Nobody had ever heard of bleach bit before that. We all know what it is now. Comey gave her a free pass. Then, even though he found evidence of serious crimes, including that the fact that her servers were hacked by foreign entities that put our country at risk, nah, we're not going to charge Hillary. Take a look.
Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email domain was both known by a large number of people and readily apparent. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
Hostile regimes had access to top-secret classified information. She allowed that to happen, and she was not held accountable. So let's be very clear here. If you're Hillary Clinton and put your country at risk, you're going to get a free pass. If you're Jim Comey, you leak confidential government material through a friend to the media mob, you get a free pass. If you're a high-ranking Trump-hating bureaucrat who lies to a FISA court, you'll also get a free pass. If you're a top FBI investigator who vows to use his power to stop a free and fair election, we'll stop it. We've got an insurance policy. You'll get a pass also. If you're Hunter Biden, you can sell access to the the federal government, to China, to Russia, to Ukraine, and even implicate your own father, the big guy, over and over again, and you're going to get a pass. No early morning raid on Hunter Biden or Joe Biden. That will probably never happen, despite the prima facie case against him. And if you're Joe Biden, you can leverage $1 billion taxpayer dollars, get a Ukrainian prosecutor fired who is investigating your crack-addicted son, who is making millions of dollars, and he had no experience with Ukraine, oil, energy, gas whatsoever. Nothing's going to happen. On the other hand, if you are a conservative, watch out. If you're Roger Stone, you commit a process crime. You lied to Congress. You're going to get a massive pre-dawn raid, guns drawn, frogmen in the water, complete with fake news CNN cameras tipped off to be there at 5:45 in the morning and film it all. If you're Paul Manafort and you commit a FARA violation or a tax violation, again, hardly crimes that are dangerous to society. Another massive pre-dawn raid, guns pointed at your face, your wife's face, followed by months of solitary confinement to break you. By the way, his new book, you should read it. It's called Political Prisoner. It's out, by the way, tomorrow. Paul Manafort will be on the show tomorrow. You need to read that book. If you're Peter Navarro, you get charged with a misdemeanor. You get shackled at the airport for a misdemeanor, handcuffed, thrown in jail, the same cell that John Hinckley was thrown in, the guy that tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. Now even the 45th president of the United States, he has been targeted by an early morning raid. And not only did agents show up in force, guns drawn, to the former president's home, but they also demanded that the security cameras be turned off. And they even blocked the president's attorneys from observing the search. Now, why would they do that? How many years have we fought for body cams on police to keep everybody honest? Why wouldn't you want the surveillance cameras kept on? Anything you're hiding? Now, tonight, Congress has a duty to hold the FBI and the Department of Justice, those people at the top levels, accountable. Instead, top Democrats in the majority are acting like cheerleaders. Just listen to the congenital liar himself, Adam Schiff.
If the Trump people represented that they provided all the classified or national security information and didn't, that's a serious problem. And I can tell you, anyone in the intelligence community that had documents like that marked top secret SCI in their residence after authorities went to them, you know, they would be under serious investigation.
You mean like Hillary? Oh, that's right. She's a Democrat. Why talk about her? But when it comes to Donald Trump or Trump associates, it's always guilty until proven innocent. And that congenital liar, by the way, doesn't care about evidence or truth. He just wants to smear, slander, besmirch Donald Trump every single moment of every day. Now, of course, for years, the media mob has always been more than happy to give that liar a platform to spew even more lies. Here's a quick reminder.
Donald Trump is someone who has shown when he's not held accountable, he goes on to commit worse and worse abuses of power. So I agree with Judge Carter in California. I think there was evidence that the former president engaged in multiple violations of the law, and that should be investigated.
We have the President of the United States engaged in a shakedown of a foreign president, a President of the United States, even as he is withholding vital military support to an ally, asking a favor of that ally to investigate his opponent.
I've been very clear over the last year and a half, that there is ample evidence of collusion in plain sight.
I could certainly say with confidence that there is significant evidence of collusion between the campaign and Russia.
There is already, in my view, ample evidence in the public domain on the issue of collusion, if you're willing to see it.
Adam Schiff is a dishonest, corrupt, congenital liar, political hack. But sadly, many leaders in the FBI are just mirroring the kind of destructive, unethical behavior as him. Let me be unequivocal in my statement. We don't support violence as conservatives. We believe in law enforcement, law and order and safety and security. And we believe all law enforcement needs to be protected. We just want you to stop giving us reasons not to trust you. You're earning distrust by allowing all of these people that are corrupt and have abused power to get away with it. Director Wray, clean up this mess. Stop treating conservatives one way, Democrats another way. That would be a great first step. And then get rid of the bad apples at the top of your organization. Punish the people that are corrupt. Punish the people that abuse their power, because it's tarnishing the reputation of the 95% of good agents that serve this country with honor and distinction. And it's unfortunate that most of us who are the most inclined to revere law enforcement now have a deep distrust because of the actions of a few, and you haven't cleaned it up. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.